You've really laid out 3 phases to family business, and you talked about this at our EntreLeadership Master Series. We did a whole day on family business, and people were going crazy for it because it turns out a lot of the listeners are in family business. So I want you to walk through those phases kind of before you get into family business, during, and after, kind of the succession plan. So walk us through the first phase. Before you get into business, what are the things you need in place? What are the conversations you need to have? What are the prerequisites you need to put in place?
Well, one is that, in a sense, when you're raising your children, you're raising them to be great team members, great employees, wherever they go. Teach them to be honest, have good communication skills, to have great work ethic, and those kinds of things. So it's the ultimate training program for your employees, your home for your children, right? And so if you raise children that have those skills, that's your prep work. And so if you've got a 16-year-old that's an entitled brat, then guess what they're going to be when they're a 26-year-old on your team?
Entitled team member.
Entitled brat, and it's a problem. So you've got to kind of get the home life thing going, the parenting thing going way, way in advance. That's the ultimate pre-planning for family business. And so it starts when the child is born, at 3 years old, and they're walking around. Hey, how are you going to allow them to behave, and so forth. So, because that's how they're going to behave at wherever they work, whether it be at the family business or not. And then once they leave that and they become adults, and they're going to consider whether to join the family business. I've had friends that had family businesses and friends that are second and third generation family businesses that they really weren't hardly given a choice. They were just told,
you're
going to be working here. It's like part of what our family does. It was, and psychologically, that's really a bad idea. Spiritually, it's a bad idea because you can be really trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And just because they have your name after them, you can really do damage to the organization and to the person. So we told our 3 kids, don't come to work at Ramsey. Don't, unless God calls you, because I'm called to what I do here. God has a call on my life to help people learn biblical principles in the business space, the leadership space, the money space, whatever it is, to change their lives. I'm called to do that. If someone comes in here because it's convenient, because they can get the job, because they've got their dad owns it, then that's not going to work out. If they come in here because they think it's going to be easy, or because it's an act of loyalty to their dad, then that would be, that lasts for a little while, but it doesn't last like a call lasts. So you need to have a sense of call on your life to come here. And so that's manifested with each of our 3 in different ways, but we kind of said, don't come unless you're sure God is telling you to.
Mm. How does that process work? Is there a certain point where you've had enough conversations where you both say, yeah, I feel called and I believe you are, let's make this happen?
Yeah, I can kind of walk through a couple of ours. Rachel, she was on stage at 16 years old selling kids' books in front of 11,000 people at live events.
So it was natural for her just to want to do that.
That child came out of the womb with a cigar and a bottle of champagne. She's been a dancing poodle since she was born. So she was going to be on stage somewhere doing something, and she loved it and has always loved it and is always very good at it. She's a natural in front of the camera, in front of the microphone, on the stage, a good communicator. Always, and she was that little kid, You were that little kid,
Yeah.
There's no question about it, And so I was a bit. We're hams, So we like the spotlight. We like doing that stuff. So we kind of knew more with her before we knew with the other 2. And so she went and got a communications degree in college, and we kept talking about it, but we were kind of 70, 80, 90% sure she was probably coming on and was going to be a speaker in the future, and we didn't know how that was going to work. We didn't have it all figured out exactly, the details of it, but we felt pretty good about God's hand on her life, using her talents that way. Denise, on the other hand, our oldest child, came out of school, and she's our ministry-minded, big-hearted one, biggest heart, and so she went to work for a ministry, a nonprofit, nothing to do with us, did not feel called. And years and years and years later, we decided, Sharon and I decided to move our charitable giving to a more formal systematized process instead of just whatever we wanted to do off the top of our head in a family foundation. And so I started studying family foundations, realized I needed a director of the foundation. I thought, well, my daughter's at a nonprofit. Maybe she could run the nonprofit. And I called her and we sat down and talked, and she said, no, I don't feel released from the other place. So she did not come. And it was a year and a half later before she said, if you haven't filled that still, I think I want to talk about it. I do feel released now. And so, and it was, by the way, it was fine if she didn't. There was no pressure. It was just, here's something I'm going to be doing. If you want to join up on this side, this ministry side of things, and you run that, that's fine. So she came over that way. And of course, Daniel was the last to join the team, the youngest.